Hey guys, what's going on? It's Waldo, and today we are here for the start of a new Out of the Park Baseball 17 series. You guys have really been asking me a lot as soon as the Angels series ended, and even before then. Hey Waldo, are you going to do another OOTP series? Yo, you should definitely do another OOTP series. And that was always the plan. I've told this to a few people in the comments, but for those of you that might not be aware, the plan was to do that Angels series, do this franchise that I'm going to do right now from July to about September or October, and then do one more save right before OOTP 18 comes out. The one I'm doing right now, this second series that I will be doing, it will be a historical game. We will be starting in 2009. We will import the real minor leagues just because I think that's a really cool option. So you see, 2009 season recap, the Yankees are champions again. So for those of you that might not remember what happened back in '09, the season saw the Bronx Bombers win up 103 games and defeat the defending champion Philadelphia Phillies to claim their 27th World Series championship, thanks in large part to the free agent signings of CC Sabathia, Mark Teixeira, and AJ Burnett. 2009 was a big season for Twins catcher Joe Mauer, who hit .365 with 28 homers and 96 RBIs, despite missing all of April due to injury. He earned both the AL MVP and his second Gold Glove award. Zach Greinke of the last-place Royals won the AL Cy Young Award, an year when no dominant pitcher stood out in the league. Cardinals first baseman Albert Pujols and Giants starting pitcher Tim Lincecum won the major awards in the senior circuit, each for the second consecutive season. Looking at some milestones and moments, Rickey Henderson, Jim Rice, and Joe Gordon were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. The Yankees opened the house that Steinbrenner built, while the Mets also unveiled a new ballpark across town that, of course, is Citi Field. Randy Johnson picked up his 300th win on June 4th against the Washington Nationals and retired following the season. White Sox pitcher Mark Buehrle pitched a perfect game on July 29th against Tampa Bay and extended his string to 45 consecutive outs in his next start. So you guys may know the team I'm choosing, but if not, I will be choosing the Philadelphia Phillies. And this will probably take a while, so I'll cut out at some point. But the reason I'm choosing the Phillies, obviously they won the World Series in 2008. So going into 2009, the Phillies are defending champions. But as some of you may know, obviously they lost in the 2009 World Series to the New York Yankees. And then that really started their decline. In 2010, they lost the NLCS to the San Francisco Giants. In 2011, they lost in the NLDS in 5 games to the St. Louis Cardinals. And then, of course, in 2012, they finished 500, did not make the playoffs. 2013, 2014, 2015, they didn't make the playoffs. And most likely this year, 2016, they won't make the playoffs. So my goal with this historical save is to keep the Phillies on top. It's something I usually don't do, especially, in any game, really. A lot of times I'll just choose a team that you have to rebuild to get back to the top. But especially for this series, the goal is not to rebuild this team. It's to keep this team up at the top. It's to keep this team, at the one of the elite teams in the league. They're coming off of a World Series championship, their first since 1980. The goal is to bring more to the city of Philadelphia. And as you see, I told you this was going to take a little bit of time. It's probably my computer, because I know this game actually runs pretty quickly if you have a decent system. My computer, it's solid, don't get me wrong, but it's not that good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out until we get past, this entire importing process. The reason it's taking so long, I am importing the complete history up to 2009. And, I think that's just a really cool thing to do. And then I'm also importing the real minor leagues just so we can have the accurate farm systems, which, incredible addition to the game. Props to the OOTP crew for adding that into this year's iteration of OOTP. So once again, I'm going to cut out, and I will come back probably when the importing process is complete. The game has officially loaded up. You see our manager's name this time is not Ryan Waldis, but instead it is Randy Marsh, the soon-to-be 45-year-old from South Park. Decided to go for a different name this time, and Randy Marsh, for some reason or another, was the first name that came to mind. So this will be a little bit of reminiscing for me, just looking at the roster. This is when, Utley was, relatively young, when Rollins was relatively young, when Howard was young. It's when we still had Hamels on his rookie deal. It's definitely interesting, that's for sure. But looking at the roster, I don't know. I'd like to bring up some different pitchers. Yeah, I'd like to call up like Durbin and send down Tyler Walker. Where is Tyler Walker? Right there. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll send down you to AAA. We will bring up Durbin. I see we also have Pedro Martinez, which is a little surprising. I know he was on our team in 2009, but we didn't sign him until July. So what I will do is, well, I guess I'd be stupid not to call him up, right? I know it wouldn't be like I'd like to keep him down in the minors until July, but I just hope that that doesn't screw me over. I think I will do that though. I think I'll keep him down in the minors until July, which is when we signed him, and go from there. So that's that. So now we have Chad Durman. He can be our middle relief guy. We have Myers as a long relief guy, just because I don't really want him in the rotation. Pitching is definitely something that we have to fix. You see we have Hamels, who is our ace, still on his rookie deal. He's only making $442K this year. But then, Joe Blanton is our number 2. Then we have Moyer, Happ, Kendrick. We have Myers in the bullpen. So we definitely need to upgrade our pitching in one way or another. So once again, another team that we have to upgrade our pitching. Can never have enough pitching. We definitely saw that in the Angels series. And lineups, it looks good. I'd like to maybe call up someone other than Andy Tracy. So I think maybe I will call up John Mayberry Jr. That might be good. I'm not going to call up Dominic Brown, that's for sure. Yeah, I think... Yeah, he's our best option, really, it seems like. So we will send down Andy Tracy. We will call up John Mayberry Jr., So send down to AAA, and we will call up John Mayberry Jr. He can also play first base, so we could put Mayberry there in first, and we can also put him in, need a center fielder, a backup center fielder. We can put Mayberry there. He played there a little bit during his tenure with the Phillies, so we can put him there. He could also be the backup first baseman, so at least now we have that under control. Now versus left-handers, we will make sure he's the backup first baseman and the backup center fielder as well. I'm not going to worry about DH. Obviously, this was before teams started playing interleague, or teams from the other league all throughout the year, not just in June and July or what have you. So I'm not going to worry about DH for right now, but let's just take a look at the roster. Just go down memory lane, at least for me. I don't know how many Phillies fans are subscribed to the channel. I know there's a few of them, but I'm not sure how much. So let's just go through memory lane here, sort by starting pitchers. Or not by starting pitchers, but sort by pitchers first, and then we'll go to the hitters. So we have Joe Blanton, a 3-star starting pitcher for us. He's 20 years old. He's making $1.2 million this year. He signed through this year through arbitration. He's only been in the league for 4 years, so we have him under team control for a couple more years. This is the guy we got from Oakland in 2008. You see he was 5-12 with a 4.96 ERA with Oakland at the time of the trade. But then he came over here, went 4-0 with a 4.20 ERA, granted a 1.37 WHIP. Of course, Blanton is well known for his home run in Game 4 of the World Series against the Tampa Bay Rays, which, of course, the Phillies ended up winning, as we've stated before. You see he has 60 rating for stuff, 60 for control, 40 for movement. I'm not too concerned about that. 55 for fastball, 50 for sinker, 50 for cutter, 45 for his curveball, 50 rating for his slider, and a 40 for his changeup. 70 stamina, though, so at least he won't tax the bullpen. At least he can pitch pretty far into games. You see in 2007 he pitched 230 innings. In 2005 he pitched just over 200. And last year he pitched just under 200. Well, I say last year. 2008 combined he pitched just under 200 innings. So definitely a guy that you can count on to be durable for you. And then, of course, Cole Hamels is our ace. He's only making $442,000 this year. He's only 25 years old. Wow. 75 stamina. He can hold runners. Good sacrifice bunting. You see, in 2008, he had a good year, really good year, 14-10, 3.09 ERA, 227 innings pitched, a 1.08 WHIP. He had 196 Ks, 53 walks, really turned it on in the postseason. Of course, he was the 2008 World Series MVP. He did fall off a little bit in real life in 2009, but then he bounced back afterwards, and now, obviously, he is one of the better pitchers in the league in real life. So it's nice to have an ace. Something that we really didn't have with the Angels. I know we had Garrett Richards, but he's definitely not on the level of Hamels, at least in this game. J.A. Happ, he is only 26 in this, also making $422,000. Of course, this is the guy that we ended up losing, unfortunately, but now he's doing pretty well in real life, all things considered. So I don't know if I'm going to keep this guy around. Obviously, I'd like to get as much good pitching as I possibly can, because these ratings, they're just not going to cut it too much. So I'd love to improve my pitching staff at some point. Jamie Moyer, obviously the hometown kid. He's from Sellersville, PA. 46 years old, though. He has no stuff, no movement. He has good control. This is basically a Jared Weaver clone because he has control, but really nothing else, and stamina. He did good in 2008. You see, 2007, it was a bit of a rough go for him. He went 14-12, albeit with a 5.01 ERA, but just under 200 innings pitched. He was two-thirds of an inning away from pitching 200 innings. 144 whip in 2007, a 133 whip in 2008. But he did post a home run for 9 innings under 1, which is good. But obviously, this is a guy that we probably would look to move. I mean, he is making $3.2 million this year. We have him signed through next year. Actually, that's only a vesting option. So if he pitches 180 innings this year, his option vests. But if it doesn't, then we don't have to worry about him anymore. So we'll see what happens. I would not mind trading him, but I don't know really what teams would take on a 46-year-old pitcher who's making $3 million plus. So that's that. And then we also have Brett Myers, of course, one of the heroes during the 2007 run for the Phillies, that stretch run. He ended up moving to the bullpen. You see 51 games. He only started 321 saves, though. Of course, the lasting memory of that year was him, throwing up his glove in the air and celebrating after the Phillies just came back. They were, 7 games down with 17 to play against the New York Mets. Or I say against the New York Mets. The Mets were 7 games up, and it was definitely that's one of the best moments of my childhood. That's for sure. Just seeing that was really the first. Well, I say the first. Aside from the Eagles, they were always really good when I was growing up. There was a couple years where they weren't good. I mean, the year after they made the Super Bowl, 2005, they weren't all that good. 2007, they were average. But other than that, as I was growing up, the Eagles were always good. But other than that, the other teams weren't that great. I wasn't really into the Sixers, but even as I was growing up, after that finals run with AI, they weren't really that good. The Flyers were always in it, but they never won the cup in my lifetime, unfortunately. Of course, the last time they did was 75. So, but seeing the Phillies, clinch the NL East in 2007 and then ended up winning the World Series in 2008, definitely one of the coolest moments, not only of my childhood, but probably my entire life when I end up looking back at this at some point. But enough reminiscing. This is not what you guys came here for. Brett Myers, you could do worse for a bullpen guy. We could always put him into the rotation. You see he has 70 stamina, so we could always put him in the rotation if need be. Our bullpen is solid. Kyle Kendrick, obviously our 5th starter, by the way, 24 years old. Definitely a guy we'd like to get. I don't know. I feel bad saying get rid of, but we definitely need to improve our starting rotation because in real life it was solid, but in this game not so much. Our bullpen's okay. We have Clay Condrey, Chad Durbin, Brad Lidge, the hero from the 2008, obviously the perfect season. He converted all of his save opportunities, 41 for 41 in the regular season, and then 7 for 7 in the playoffs for a grand total of 48 saves and 48 save opportunities. Chan-Ho Park, a solid setup guy for us. BJ Rosenberg and Ryan Madsen. And then moving on to our batters, this is where the real compelling guys are on this roster, that's for sure. So Chris Coast, Carlos Ruiz, he is a 3-star catcher here, 30 years old. Solid defensive ratings. I feel like they should be a little higher, but regardless, 60 catcher ability, 45 catcher arm, 50 overall for his defensive ratings. Easy to like, I agree with that. This guy was never really a good, batting average guy. He had that really good year, in 2012, but that was it, and then he's kind of since declined a little bit, but you see he does have gap power in this game, which is cool. He can avoid Ks. He can call a hell of a game as a catcher, though, which it's always good to have. Ryan Howard, as we've seen in real life, he's never going to give you a high batting average, really. I mean, he had that really good year in 2006. He had 313, 58 home runs, 149 RBIs. He walked 108 times, struck out 181. And he was a 6-win player, puts an OPS plus of 180, an OPS of over 1,000. In this game, his contact rating 55, gap power 55, home run power 70, I 55, but avoid Ks is 35. That's understandable. Not really a lot of speed, but his stealing rating's up there, so I guess that's okay. And he won't kill you in the field, I suppose. You could find a better option, but he won't kill you. He is signed through 2009, so most of you will remember this is when Howard got that monster extension that today looks really, really bad, but at the time, it looked okay. You see, he was only making $6 million here in 2009, So I'm not too sure if I'm going to bring him back. I really don't know because I'm not going to do the same things that the Phillies did in real life, obviously, because that would be boring. But I I don't know if I'd like to bring Howard back because history would show that it won't be a good idea. But in this, I don't have it to where like these things like go on. Like I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Like Howard won't decline exactly like he did in real life just because like I have this set to where like the ratings are based on the OOTP talent and development engine. So things will be different and things will occur differently than they did in real life. So I don't know. We'll have to see how Howard does this year and then go from there. Just I don't know what he would be looking at in an extension. Yes, that's basically what he was looking at in real life. Not 8 years, obviously. Well, actually, yeah, yeah. So yeah, 20 million. That's basically what we gave him. So that's something I'm definitely gonna have to think hard about. I mean, you figure at the end of that contract he'd be 38. I mean, looking at him right now, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. There's my dog, so try to ignore her. Sorry about that. I almost said sorry. I barked that. Chase Utley, the best player on this team, at least according to the ratings: 55 contact, 50 gap power, 60 home run power, 65 I, 50 avoid Ks. He's solid in the field. He's got some speed to him. A 4.5-star player, 4.5-star potential. He's 30 years old. This is when we just signed him to that contract extension. $21 million. He can opt out after 2011. I doubt he will, but he can. And if he does, we can just sign him back if need be. Although I don't know if I will because by that point he'll be 33 years old. So you see, if he doesn't opt out, then we have to pay him $20 million in 2012 and 2013. Then he has a player option in 2014. So maybe try to trade him at some point. I'm not too sure, especially as we get on, because at the end of this contract he will be 36, and that player option that does kind of scare me a little bit. But if he's still doing well, maybe we'll just let him stay here. Obviously, our budget will continue to go up year after year, especially being in a big market like Philadelphia. So money shouldn't be an issue for the most part. Greg Dobbs, the pinch hit king, obviously. Pedro Feliz, that was the guy that we got from the Giants before the 2008 season. And he did okay in 2008. He hit close to 250, OPS just over 700. He had 14 home runs, 58 RBIs. He had 19 doubles, 106 hits, and 425 at-bats. Played in 133 games, started 106. So you could do worse. I'd like to upgrade third base, though, for sure. Shortstop, we have a J-Roll, Jimmy Rollins. This is 2 years removed now from his MVP season where he hit 296, OPS just under 900, 30 homers, 94 RBIs, 20 triples, 38 doubles, 41 stolen bases. So he still has speed, which is nice because obviously in the Angels series, we never really had speed until the very, very end with guys like Miranda. But here with Ron, you see 70 speed, 75 stealing. This is definitely a guy that we can utilize on the base path. So it'll be nice to have a solid leadoff hitter for once. Banez, this is the guy they signed from Seattle in the offseason, the 2008 into 2009 offseason. Definitely a solid piece for us. You see, he had 20 home runs in 2005. He had 33 in 2006, 21 in 2007, and 23 in 2008. He played in all 162 games, started all 162 games in 2005 and 2008. He started 159 games in 2006, and he started 144 in 2007. So definitely a very durable player. You would like to see more from him in terms of defense. You see he's only a 45 rating in left field, but there's not too much you can do about that. But Raul Ibanez is definitely a solid piece for us. We'll be hitting in the middle of the order, especially with that 65 home run power. Him and Howard form a nice duo there in the middle of the lineup. John Mayberry Jr., who we called up. Matt Stairs, of course, postseason hero for the Philadelphia Phillies. He'll give you power, but not much else. Of course, right now he is one of the Phillies broadcasters, along with Tom McCarthy and Ben Davis and Greg Murphy on Comcast Sportsnet. Shane Victorino, the Flying Hawaiians, making $4.2 million this year. Also a free agent after the season. Really good player. 60 contacts, 70 gap power. Not really too much home run power, but he can avoid Ks. He's solid in center field, and he has a lot of speed to his game, so really looking forward to having him. Once again, I'm not too sure how long he'll be a part of the organization. That's just something we're going to have to decide on the fly. And then Jason Worth, one of my favorite Phillies of all time. It's I hate how Phillies fans really hate this guy. I don't personally understand. I mean, I understand it, I suppose, but I don't agree with it. He's still one of my favorite Phillies. I would wear, if I had a Jason Worth jersey, I would wear it with pride. He was such a big part of our 2008 run. I mean, he had 273, 24 home runs, 67 RBIs. He OPS'd at 861. He was a 3-win player. So definitely a big part of our run. Now, the interesting thing is that this contract, obviously, he wasn't signed this long for the Phillies, so we do have him locked up, which is interesting because now I don't have to worry about signing him to a contract extension. But I don't think this is accurate because obviously Worth, we we didn't have him locked up for this long, so that the contract is a little interesting. I'm not too sure what that's about, but oh well. I mean, we have him locked up for a while. He's a solid, serviceable right fielder, so I'm not going to complain. And then looking in our minor league system, Tyler Walker. Well, he's not really a prospect. We have Pedro Martinez, who I'll probably call up in July because that's about the time that we signed him in real life. Um, just looking for prospects here. Not a ton of them. I mean, we have this Manny Ayala guy as starting pitcher. We have a lot of older guys in AAA. Obviously, this is when our farm system, it wasn't really that great. I mean, we've seen the guys that we traded for, like Lee and Halliday and Pence. They haven't really developed for the most part. I mean, there's a couple exceptions. I mean, Cozart, he's done solid. He's been okay in the majors. VR, he's done okay. But for the most part, the guys we traded, they never really developed too much. Obviously, Carrasco, he's probably the best out of all of them. But yeah, not really too much here in AAA. Dominic Brown in AA, he was one of the best prospects in baseball there for a while, but obviously he never really panned out for us, unfortunately. Michael Taylor, another guy, another one of our top prospects. Jason Donald, that's the guy we traded in the Cliff Lee deal. Lou Marson, another guy that we traded in the Cliff Lee deal. So a lot of our prospects are down in AA, it would seem. Jim Murphy, Joe Savory, that was the guy we picked in the first round in 2007. Michael Schwimmer, Steve Susdorf, Jake Woods. Let me look down into with the Clearwater Threshers. Okay, so we have Vance Worley down here, which is interesting. It seems like he could be a solid addition, especially if he develops quite nicely. He could be a solid, number 3, number 4 kind of guy if he develops. Let me see. Kyle Drabeck, that was the guy we traded in the Halliday deal. Darren Ruff down here. He is only 22 years old at this point. Home run power potentially to be a 50, which is interesting. But there's Michael Stutz. He was a relief pitcher for us for a few years in real life. Let's see. Just looking for guys that are kind of like, I kind of remember their names. Trevor May, of course, he's on the Twins now. This is the guy we traded in the Ben Revere deal a few years back. Seems like he could be a solid pitcher as well. Antonio Bastardo, that relief pitcher we used to have. Andrew Carpenter, Tyler Cloyd, Jared Kozar, as I was mentioning, Anthony Gose. So we do have like players down here. I know, and Jason Knapp. That was another guy we traded in the Cliff Lee trade, if I remember correctly. Tuffy Gosewich. Seems like that's about it for the Lakewood Blue Claws. Moving to the Gulf Coast League, we have Travis d'Arnaud, Johan Flans, Cesar Hernandez, who's only 18 in this. Wow, that is crazy. Austin Hyatt, Cody Overbeck, Jonathan Pettibone. Let's see, anybody else here that I kind of recognize? Yeah, Joe Besenius, I recognize him. Brody Colvin. So I'm recognizing the baby aces, which is good. G1 James, he was supposed to be something that never really, turned out to be anything, unfortunately. And then looking at Williamsport, we have this Carlos Monasterios guy, 2.5-star potential. He's only 22 years old. Justin DeFreitas, he was a relief pitcher for us for a few years. There's Jonathan VR, who I was talking about earlier. Aaron Altair, who's obviously on the team now. Jake Diekman, Drew Naylor. Yeah, a lot of names here that I recognize. Domingo Santana, we traded him to the Astros. John Singleton traded him to the Astros. Mike Zagurski, Josh Zed, we traded him to the Astros. There's Kelly Dugan, Freddie Galvis. So some guys here that you guys might recognize. Scott Matheson, I remember him. Let's see, anybody else here? Zach Collier, Edgar Duran, Anthony Hewitt. He was supposed to be something special too. He never really quite panned out, sadly. Let's see, anybody else here that's worth mentioning? Doesn't look like J.C. Rodriguez. Sebastian Valle, he was up there for a while, but that's really all the prospects. So definitely the main theme with this team is acquire as much pitching as possible. If we look at free agency, I'm not really too sure who would be there. Sort by overall, I suppose. So yeah, Joaquin Benoit, Jeff Francis, Colby Lewis, Dustin McGowan. Mark Pryor's there, but he's fragile. Yeah, a lot of these guys are fragile, unfortunately. It seems like they're all fragile. That is interesting. That's really weird that they are all fragile injury history. That's a little surprising. I don't know if that's just like a glitch or if these guys are all actually fragile. That's something I've never really seen before. But yeah, Pat Neshek, Taylor Buchholz. There is Bronson Sardinia, Ben Sheets. There's a name I haven't heard in a while. Oscar Villarreal, Ryan Vogelsung, only 31 at this point. Mark Worrell. Wow, a lot of names. Jim Edmonds. Wow, a lot of names here. Jack Jones, Paul LaDuca, Carlos Maldonado. Jesus, God. CJ Nikowski. Wow, a lot of names. This just brings back a lot of memories. But yeah, definitely the main theme of this team, stay on top as long as possible. That's, as I mentioned, we just came off of a World Series win in 2008, so trying to get back there, obviously a big thing. But also acquire assets, because our minor league system, it is a little barren. Not really a ton of guys, so acquiring young talent is definitely high on my list, especially pitching, because we don't really have a ton of pitching at the major league level. But anything really. So I think that'll just about do it for episode number 1. Be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy. I hope you guys are looking forward to this series as much as I am. Obviously, being a big Phillies fan, this will be a little more in my comfort zone. Obviously, with the Angels, I had to learn a lot about the organization there and just kind of build from there. But with the Phillies, I'm kind of a lot. I say kind of. I'd like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable about the Philadelphia Phillies, considering I'm a big fan of theirs and I have been since I was a kid. So I think this save will definitely be very interesting, especially since it's a historical save too. I think it'll be pretty fun to watch. But anyway, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new here, that way you don't miss any of my future content. And depending on when you are watching this, I do have an OOTP giveaway going on. You have a chance to win one of 5 free Steam copies for the game Out of the Park Baseball 17, which is obviously the game I'm playing now. So if you're interested, be sure to check out that video. It is on my channel. And just leave a comment on that video and you'll be entered into the giveaway. So once again, thanks for watching, homies. I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.